Hey, you guys. If you have the ability to comment down below and let me know I'm coming through clearly, that would be awesome. We have really high winds here today, and so my internet Wi-Fi-ish from space reception has been really cruddy. So I'm hoping that this is coming through clearly. If you have the ability to comment down below, that is great. If it's not coming through clearly, I can try and move my phone and see what we can do. We're just going to have to roll with it. Hang on. We're having connection issues, so we're going to move over here. Try it again. We're making creamy chicken tortilla soup. It's thick and creamy and delicious, and if you're not grain-free, you could totally dip some tortilla chips in this. That would be great. Or add like a shredded tortilla to the top. Tonight, I'm not going to be doing those things because for the most part, we try to eat grain-free, but that's a great addition to this soup. So I'm going to finish rounding up my ingredients, and then we'll get started. Like I said, if you can comment down below and let me know you guys can see and hear me okay, that would be great. And I can try and move my phone so it works out a little bit better for the reception. It's just super windy here on the plains, and cell phone reception is not so good when it's this windy. So let me know if you have the ability to down in the comments. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm so glad you guys are with me and I'm still connected. That's great. I already got kicked off once, so that's fun. All right, there's 4 of you guys here. Yay! Wow. We're going to get rolling. That's awesome. Like I said, if you guys can see me and hear me, comment down below and let me know I'm coming through, okay? All right, let's angle down and get to cooking. This makes a really, really good freezer meal as well, just in case you're curious. Okay, so I have a large stock pot over here, which I just cut that off for you here. I have a large stock pot right there. I'm going to go ahead and put 4 tablespoons of butter, but I'm going to be doubling this, so ignore my extra amounts. The amount for about 6 to 8 servings is what I'm going to be giving you those amounts for the recipe, okay? But we really love this soup, so I'm going to double the recipe. So 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to go ahead and turn this pot over medium heat on the back, okay? I've already cooked up my chicken and shredded it. You need 2 cups. If you wanted to, you sure could do raw chicken, and you could throw it into the pot right now and go ahead and saute it to cook it. But mine's already cooked, so I'm going to save this to last to add to the soup. Just because if you put cooked chicken in a soup and you simmer it and boil it for a while, the cooked chicken kind of shreds up. And we like chicken more in nice diced pieces than all kind of shredded throughout. So I'm going to wait to add my chicken to last, but if you have chicken that needs to be cooked because it's raw, you sure could throw it in the pot at this point with the 4 tablespoons of butter. And the next ingredient is 1 yellow onion. This is a really, really yummy fall soup. Don't forget to keep the ends of your onions and your garlic skins, because you can put that into your crock pot when you go to make... Hey, Diana, you're back! Yay! When you go to make stock, chicken stock, beef stock, bone broth, this will add a ton of flavor and minerals to your stock. So what you can do is just take these ends and the skins and put them in a bag and store them inside your freezer until you're ready to make stock. And then you just pull it out along with, like if you're going to make bone broth, you could store your bones in the freezer until you're ready to make broth. And you just pull it all out, put it all in, and then of course when you go to strain the broth through a fine mesh strainer, all this won't go into the final product, but the flavor and the minerals will. So if you want to be ultra frugal and use every little piece of food to the fullest, keep all of your skins and your ends to your vegetables. Even ends of like celery, that's a good idea. Ends of carrots, great idea. If you go to peel carrots, you can keep the peelings from the carrots and put all that into your stock. And it adds a ton of flavor instead of just having the flavor of chicken. For the most part, I make all of my broth just with chicken in it. because I tend to put it in soups, and some soups don't have onions or what have you. But if you're going to make it to sip on, adding those extra leftovers from the vegetables really puts a lot of flavor into the broth, and it makes it more pleasurable to drink, of course. And I have one more tip on drinking broth, because I know there's quite a few of you guys that are following the GAP series here on the channel. This is something everybody should buy that's planning on drinking broth, okay? This is what got my kids through the GAPS diet and able to drink their 3 cups of broth a day. It's just herbed organic sea salt by Herbamare. You can buy this on Amazon. I've also bought it on Vitacost. It just adds a really, really great flavor to your broth and makes it more drinkable. So if you're thinking about doing the GAPS diet, or if you're sipping on broth to help heal your intestine, make sure that you get some of this. I currently have a chicken loose in my house. Everybody online's like, what was that noise? Yeah, it was a chicken. We let in some new chickens in with our flock today, and this is the first time roaming the farm, and we noticed that one of them has a crooked beak, and it was just her beak for some reason grew super long. It almost looked like a bird of prey, like that kind of long, and so it caused the lower jaw to kind of shift over, and so I was trimming her beak to try and over time correct that. And anyway, so she was inside for that procedure because I accidentally cut her lower beak a little bit too much, and so she was bleeding a little bit. And so you're trying to get the blood to stop so that we can stick her back in with the other chickens, because if you stick her in with all that blood dripping out, then the other chickens are going to attack her. So anyway, so she was living into the home here for about the last 30 minutes. So if you hear weird chicken noises or squawking, that's what that is. So 1 yellow onion, okay? But like I said, I'm doubling, so I put 2 in there. I'm going to wash my hands. The entertainment of the day is the chicken in the house. All right, so my butter, there was 4 tablespoons of butter and then 1 yellow onion. It's all starting to saute back here. Why don't you take the chicken outside? Okay, the next ingredient that's going to go into this pot is 3 garlic cloves. And I'm going to review it again. Some of you guys watch me all the time, so this is going to be old news, but you want to make sure you get real garlic. We don't want the stuff that's into the store inside that container that's already chopped and diced. And the reason why is because in order for it to hold the color and the taste of the garlic that long, they have to put preservatives in that little jar. So you want to go to the store and buy a bulb of garlic. It's typically into the same aisle as onions. And so then when you separate out the little cloves, which is what makes up the bulb, you're going to go ahead and chop off this hard end here. Not everybody knows how to do this. I know some of you guys might, but there's a ton of people, including myself, that when I started cooking did not know this, okay? So once you chop off that hard end, sometimes it'll just peel off the rest of the way. But if you have difficulty, then what we do is this. You take a knife. You could also get a garlic peeler if you want. I'm just trying to keep the thicker blade.
Yeah!
That's okay. The chicken is not house trained. Okay, we're going to take the blade of the knife, put it sideways, and I call it just like a little bop. I just take my palm and just kind of hit the knife blade so it squishes that garlic clove, and then the skin just releases. Just peels off nice and easy. So that's how you peel a garlic clove. And like I said, try not to buy the stuff in the store that's already diced. It's got tons of preservatives in it, and this is much healthier for you. Fresh raw garlic. Fresh raw garlic contains something that's called allicin, and allicin is a huge immune booster, so along with a lot of other properties. So we want to use fresh garlic, and it gives it a lot better flavor. And it's actually cheaper than pre-chopped garlic, so if you're looking to save food like almost everybody these days on groceries, buy fresh garlic. I think the chicken just wants her debut on the cooking class. That's what it is. So the amount for the garlic once again was 3 garlic cloves. And we're just going to saute it on up with the onion. And I'm doing extra garlic cloves because, like I said, I'm doubling this, you guys. Whenever I'm doing these classes and you make a mental note that I'm doubling, that means my family absolutely loves this dish. So just take note, okay? And this does freeze well. So if you wanted to make it ahead as freezer meals, you sure could. Typically when I make freezer meals and they're a soup, I go ahead and go through the process of making the soup. And then I let it completely cool down. Completely. Not still hot at all. And then I measure it out into gallon-sized freezer bags. And then lay those, like you're stacking books, into the inside of your freezer. I will say, though, if you're going to do that and you're going to do it with soup, you're going to want to not stack any more than like 4 gallon-sized freezer bags at once, because once I stack like 8 and the bottom burst in the inside of my freezer, and I was like heavily pregnant at this time, and so my husband basically had to clean out the freezer with the equivalent of like freezer barf. I mean, it was bad. So just go like 3 or 4 gallon bags high if you're going to freeze soup, okay? All right, I'm gonna go grab a jalapeno pepper. You could use any pepper you would like. We're just gonna put 1 jalapeno in here. If you don't like spice, maybe do half of a jalapeno. It does add a lot of flavor to the soup, so I'm not sure I would omit it. Maybe do something else like a green chili or something instead, although we're gonna be adding those as well. Let me grab the jalapeno. So the first bag in my freezer, I always freeze my hot peppers from my garden, or can them. Freezing is nice because you can totally grab these. Let's see, I gotta pick one. And the oil doesn't come off when it's frozen. So I always freeze my hot peppers. So I'm just gonna dice this up really quick. And we're gonna put it right into the pot so it can saute around. This is a salsa pepper, so it's like less hot than a jalapeno, but more spicy than a green chili. It's somewhere in the middle. Okay. And because I have young kids eating this soup, I'm not going to double the jalapenos. I'll end up eating the whole soup myself if I do that. Okay. It's fine. All right, so we're just sauteing over here, and that's all that's going on. We're going to get ready to add the next ingredients. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. It's Tuesday. I'm just going to saute this until the onions are translucent. If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know my husband hates onions that are still crunchy, so I must saute until they are translucent so he doesn't complain. So I plan to finish my cookbook this week. We're down to the final editing on it. So be watching for a video like Monday or so. I'm going to put out a separate video altogether on how to order the cookbooks and the cost of the cookbooks and all those details in a private video. So that way, if someone watches my videos on my channel, but they don't have the time to sit here and watch an hour-long cooking class, but they see other videos, they'll see it as well in case they are interested to purchase the cookbooks. I'm basically going to have kind of like a pre-ordering period where people can put in their orders, and then I'm going to just cut off that and then open it up another time for if anyone else is interested. Obviously, the more books we order, the cheaper the cost goes. So if you've got people who would be interested in Christmas gifts or something like that, keep that in mind, because it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the cookbooks to print and be shipped to me, and then I'll ship them to you. So you're looking at about a month before the book will be in your hand. Unless the printer goes super fast. But I will ship them out as soon as I get them. Alright, so this is getting ready for the next step. I always forget, I always turn that light on, and it does not help you guys at all. Me, but not you. Okay, so the onion is now semi-translucent. It's close enough. So we're going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. yummy, creamy soup. Next week, we're going to be making chicken pot pie soup with biscuits. So that'll be another yummy fall soup. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And like I said, I'm doubling, so ignore the extra there. Okay, the next ingredient is 5 cups of broth. I made my own broth and I actually have it back here in this Instant Pot, and it's obviously doubled, so I'm going to just go ahead and dump it on in. Also in here are the next ingredient, which are beans. You're going to need 2 cups of fermented black beans that have been cooked and 2 cups of fermented pinto beans that have been cooked. They both go in here, just in case you don't know why we're fermenting our beans. Not everybody can handle beans well, so it definitely takes a lot of the gas out of the beans, and it multiplies the nutrients within the food. So that's why we are fermenting them raw and then cooking them. We're not after the probiotic aspect of the fermented beans, we're after the nutrient-dense aspect of the beans. So once again, I added 5 cups of broth, 2 cups of black fermented beans that have been cooked, 2 cups of pinto beans that have been fermented and then cooked. And that's where we're at right now. This pot is still over medium heat. And we're going to go ahead and keep on adding ingredients. Next ingredient is a 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I love soups because you can throw everything in the pot and then it can cook while you're, let's say you work or something, while you take a shower and kind of get some other things that maybe you need to get done. So 1 15-ounce can, like I said, I doubled it, so that's going to be a big can on my end. Okay, the next ingredient is 1 4-ounce can of diced green chilies. If you order from Azure, they sell this brand. Whew, it's like so sunny from my great brand to buy and an affordable price through Azure. I have not found organic mild green chilies anywhere locally, so I usually just order a whole flat from Azure. 1 4-ounce can of diced green chilies. When it comes to peppers, peppers are heavily sprayed. So if you're trying to avoid sprays on your food, try to buy your peppers organic. Okay, where did I put my spoon? Oh, it's over here. All right, I'm just going to give it a stir. How long did you cook the beans in the Instant Pot? Okay, so I cooked the beans in the Instant Pot. Let's see, I had them mixed in together. So what I did was I took the Instant Pot, put a whole chicken in it, okay? Then I put 10 cups of water in there. I put, let's see, 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And then I put my 2 cups of the fermented black beans and 2 cups of the fermented pinto beans. And I processed it for 20 minutes on high in the Instant Pot. And then when the timer ran out, I let it come down naturally. I didn't flick the little vent to let the steam out. I just let it sit there and come down naturally. Then your beans are nice and soft. They're ready to go. Technically, it's overkill for the black beans because I think black beans in Instant Pot are only like 10 to 15 minutes. More towards 10 minutes when you ferment them. But because it was mixed with the pinto beans, I did the longer time. So that was how I cooked that. Okay, the next ingredient is cumin. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of cumin. I have a half a teaspoon. My 1 teaspoon's inside the dishwasher, guys. All right, 1 teaspoon of cumin. Next ingredient is 1 teaspoon of hot sauce. I'm personally going to skip this step. It already has a jalapeno in it. We're going to be adding, we already added the diced green chilies. It doesn't, for my family, need hot sauce. But if I was eating it by myself, I'd totally put hot sauce in this. I put about a teaspoon of hot sauce. But I really don't want to burn off my children's taste buds. So we're going to omit the hot sauce for now. But if you're eating by yourself or if your kids love their taste buds being burned off, go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of the hot sauce of your choice. All right, next ingredient is 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning. If you don't know how to make your own taco seasoning, I do have a video up here on how to make it. It's super a lot cheaper than the packets. I'm just going to add the rest of this because that's what it's going to end up being right there. All right, 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning. I'm going to scrape the rest of it out of my jar here. Hang on a second. There we go. All right, so we are going to let this, I'm going to increase the heat up to medium high. I'm going to give it a good stir. And we're going to bring this up to a boil. Really, we're just incorporating the flavors, so this is like a super quick meal. And Samantha, I'm glad you're on here, also known as Donnie. I haven't seen you comment in forever. I'm so glad you're back. It's awesome. All right, and I'm just double checking my recipe list. I think we got it all. You could also add a 15-ounce can of sweet corn if you'd like. I haven't been incorporating sweet corn into our meals very much. My body doesn't seem to do very well with sweet corn, but this soup is delicious with sweet corn in it. I used to put sweet corn in it, and I didn't know my body wasn't handling it very well. So go ahead and feel free to put 15 ounces of sweet corn or around 2 cups into the soup if that's something that you want into your soup. All right, so we increase the heat over medium-high. I'm going to put a lid over this. We're going to let it just simmer away there. I'm going to try and move the camera back off. I hope not. So I don't know if this was on our wall. Can you guys see that? If all of that was on our wall last time we had a cooking class. Maybe it was, but anyway, those are all cayenne peppers. My neighbor's garden down the road did very, very well this year. And so she blessed us with as many cayenne peppers as we could pick. So we just picked and picked and picked. And then my kids, wearing gloves, of course, strung all of the cayenne peppers up. And then we hung them up like a decoration. It kind of feels odd in here because we live on a farm. So in a way, I feel like I've been transported to like Mexico or something. But also because of it's green and red, it kind of feels Christmassy, which feels way too early for that. But anyway, it's really pretty. We love it. It's great. What is everybody cooking for dinner tonight out there? Comment down below and let me know. I'm going to put my butter away so it doesn't melt, okay? Let me know what you're cooking for dinner. Oh. So one of the projects this week was homemade Sriracha sauce, and I followed the recipe over on, oh no, I'm not going to be able to remember her name. Anyway, I followed the recipe somewhere here on YouTube. And except I swapped out, because it calls for brown sugar, and I actually swapped the brown sugar out. And I think I've talked about this in the past on this channel, that when you have a recipe that calls for brown sugar, you go ahead and, let's say it's 1 cup of brown sugar. So to replace that, you do half of a cup of honey and half of a cup of molasses. And so that's what I did, and the hot sauce turned out amazing. This is hot Sriracha sauce. I'm going to have a ton of it. And I made this using red jalapenos. So it's a good way to use up the harvest, and it's super good. Turned out great. A little bit different of a flavor than if you would have used brown sugar, but still really, really good. So anyway, that was the project for this last week. I also wanted to say, just in case you don't know and you're watching this video, there's a lot of new people this week, which is great. Thank you. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for subscribing. So with the beans, just as Donnie, aka Samantha, asked earlier, whenever you're fermenting beans and rice, it takes less time to cook. So if you're going to be using Instant Pot, the larger the bean, the less time you take off, but usually you can shave off between 2 and 4 minutes of the lowest time on the chart that came in your little booklet. Here, hang on. Can I find it? There it is. In this booklet that's been really beat up, okay, that came with my Instant Pot, I just go to the chart and I look at the low end. So let's say it's 10 to 15 minutes. And if I've soaked and fermented my beans, I go ahead and take off anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes. If it's a larger bean, only like 2 minutes. If it's a smaller bean, like a navy bean or even a black bean, I can get away with taking off up to about 4 minutes. Depends on the bean. But and same thing with rice. Rice cooks up way faster. Even if you're not using an Instant Pot, even on the stove, those beans and that rice will cook up a lot faster than if you hadn't soaked and fermented them. I also had somebody ask on the channel if you can just eat straight fermented beans. The way I ferment the beans before cooking, they're still crunchy. So you wouldn't want to do that unless you're into crunchy beans. I know some people go ahead and cook the beans and then afterwards they ferment them. In that case, great, eat them. But in the case that we're doing, we're actually fermenting it before we cook it to multiply those nutrients, completely break down the phytic acid within the bean. You're going to want to cook it afterwards. So we're not necessarily after the fermented probiotics within the product because we're obviously cooking it. Another really quick tip, just in case you are all new to all this, usually with rice and beans, I go ahead and do like a huge batch. You can do as many beans or rice as you have that will fit in the containers you have. I would strongly recommend that you ferment them in some sort of glass container. This is a gallon-sized glass jar, which is what I typically use. The reason why I say glass is because we're adding apple cider vinegar, which is acid, to the inside of the jar with your beans and your rice to start fermenting them. And obviously we don't want that acid to start eating at the plastic while it's sitting on your counter fermenting, because the chemicals within the plastic can leach into your food. So if you can find a glass jar for the fermenting and the soaking of your beans and rice, that's a good idea. And you can line up as many of these jars as you want. So sometimes I do 5 pounds at a time, sometimes I do 10 pounds at a time, and I just go through the process. They're all out on the counter and they're all done at once. And then I rinse them and I put them into freezer bags and store them into the freezer until I need them. That way I know, like if someone all of a sudden there's a potluck or something and I need to bring a dish like, let's say, refried beans or something, and I need soaked beans, I know I have soaked and fermented beans inside my freezer that I can just pull out, throw them into the Instant Pot, and cook them up, and I know that those beans are properly prepared and ready to go for whatever meal I'd like to put together. So I always do everything ahead of time. I have 5 kids, just in case you guys are new to the channel. I don't have time to plan my life 3 days ahead of time. I need to be able to go grab those beans and make my meal without worrying about having to time out 3 or 4 days in advance to soak and ferment something. So that's why I do that. I also typically meal plan. I pick out 4 to 8 meals, and we just kind of take them times however many weeks are in that month or how many days are in that month. And then I look into those meals and say, okay, how many cups of black beans do I need? How much rice do I need this month? And I typically just try to do it all at once because I don't want to have to think about it in the middle of the month either. So anyway, if you're a planner, that's great. If not, and you're just going to buy some rice and some beans, just do as much as you possibly can and just freeze it like I do. And there's really no science to it. I just dump them into a freezer bag and put them into the freezer. And then if I go to use them and if they're stuck together, I just kind of bang them on the countertop a little bit and they usually break loose and you can measure out exactly what you need. So no big deal there. Let's check on this soup over here. All right. We got you there. Let's see about it. It is boiling away here. So technically, like I said, we're just combining all of our flavors. So now we're going to go ahead and thicken up the soup. We're going to add the last ingredients. Let me go grab the cheese. I'll be right back. Okay. So all of the action is going to be taking place back here on the back burner. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a small stock pot. I'm going to get myself a little ladle, and we're going to ladle some of this broth out of our, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat to this pot here. It's okay if you get a couple of clumps of food. If you can make it so you don't get as many clumps of food, that's better. It'll be easier to whisk. But do the best you can. So this is, let's see, that was 2 cups of broth out. 3 cups of broth. Of course, I'm doubling. So we're going to say take about 2 cups of broth out of your soup on your end. All right. We're going to go ahead and turn this back burner over medium heat. And I'm going to go ahead and add in my chicken now because I actually turned this burner off even though it's still bubbling. I'm going to add in my cooked chicken into the soup. But like I said, if you're using raw chicken, obviously you wouldn't be adding more chicken. All right. Give it a good stir. There we go. And that way the chickens can start warming up in here. Okay, so now to the back burner there, you're going to add cream cheese. I love Nancy's cream cheese. Okay. We need 4 ounces, but since I'm doubling, it's going to be a whole 8-ounce tub. But you could use any cream cheese you'd like, whatever floats your boat. Just remember that if you're not purchasing organic cream cheese, that animals, just like humans, store our toxins in our fat. And cream cheese is a fat. Cheese is a fat. Butter is a fat. So just make sure you're purchasing as clean of a product as far as dairy fats go that you can afford, because that's the stuff where a lot of toxins are stored. So if you can get grass-fed, that's great. If you can get grass-fed organic, bonus points. And then, like, as far as butter goes, Kerrygold's an okay brand if you can't afford organic. That is grass-fed butter. So just try to get one or the other if you can't afford to get both organic and grass-fed. All right, so I'm just whisking it here, okay? And now I'm going to shred up some sharp cheddar cheese. You don't have to use sharp. We just have really fallen in love with the flavor of sharp cheddar cheese lately. So this is Romano organic sharp cheddar cheese from Azure Standard. You sure could use a different brand if you'd like. Or you could use regular cheddar cheese. It's not sharp. It's just my family is now addicted to sharp cheddar cheese for now. We'll see how long it sticks. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and shred this up. My poor cheese shredder, as soon as it's clean, we just use it again. Okay, so the goal is 2 cups of cheese. I'm going to chop this block and keep on going here. All right. Somebody said what they were eating for dinner. I'm going to look. Diana said cabbage, smoked sausage, and potatoes. Ooh, that sounds good. I have a recipe that's going to be in my cookbook. That was one of our favorites when we were on Full Gaps. And it's cabbage. It's like a taco cabbage casserole. It's super good. It's kind of like an unstuffed taco roll, but like taco style. Or cabbage roll, I mean, taco style. It's super good. I love cooking with cabbage when I can. All right, so that's coming up to a simmer back there, and then we're going to add 2 cups of cheddar cheese. But in my case, since I'm doubling this, we're going to go ahead and add 4 cups. So I got to get my arm workout and get it all shredded. All right. All right, so it's come up to a simmer back here. I'm not sure if you guys can see that on camera, so I'm just going to whisk away the simmer. And then I'm going to add the cheese, and we're going to whisk till it's nice and thick. If you were to dump the cheese and the cottage cheese just into this other pot, the cheese can, and most of the time does clump. And it just kind of ends up being like a stringy mess. So I tend to like to take the broth out and thicken it in a separate pan. I got to add just a little bit more cheese here, so.
One of my straps broke on a greenhouse.
Oh, really? It's really going, huh? Maybe you and Nevaeh should go put down the side. Can you guys run out and go put down the side for me? Tell her to go like right away.
Yep.
We got our plastic in our greenhouse, and the wind all of a sudden just now is just kicking up. And one of the hurricane straps just broke on it, so the girls are going to run out and put the sides down. It's getting kind of wild out there. Okay, so we're waiting for this to come back up to a simmer. I'm going to whisk it again. I'm going to add the rest of my cheese. So for me, it was 4 cups of cheese. For you, it'll be 2 cups. All right. Hopefully we don't lose any chickens to the neighbor's house. It is quite dusty out there. All right. This is getting nice and thick. We're just going to wait until it comes back up to a simmer. And then we're going to add it back to the soup. And then this soup is done, guys. Totally yummy. And like I said, this soup freezes really good. And then just salt to taste, because this is a Mexican type soup. Salt is always great, so if you can add some colored salt. Hi, buddy. How are you? It really helps to amplify the flavors. You want to say hi?
Hi.
There he is. Nice little Will. All right. So this is coming up to a simmer, and I can feel when you go to whisk, you're going to be able to feel that it's no longer stringy, okay? It's a nice creamy sauce. So we're going to go ahead and dump it into the other pot. Yummy. Do you see what Mommy's making?
What?
It's tortilla soup.
It can be spicy.
No, Mommy didn't put all the spices in, just for you. Does that make you happy? Good? Okay. All right, so there's the finished soup. You guys can see that very well, but it's nice and creamy and thick. Whoops, sorry, he bumped me. Nice and creamy and thick and delicious. Right, Will? Silly boy. All right. So that is dinner. If you guys have any questions, put them down below, and I can answer them here in the next few minutes. And like I said, keep an eye out next week, because we're going to be putting out a video on how to buy the cookbook. You got it? Is it down? Okay, great. Thank you for helping. Anyway, so I should be putting a video out like probably Monday, if not maybe even on Sunday, with all the details of how to purchase one of my cookbooks and how it's going to work and the price and everything else, because I'll know all those details by this weekend, because I'm finishing up the cookbook this week, going through the final editing stage and making sure I have the right page numbers for references within the actual recipe. So if something were to call for like fermented beans like we used tonight, I have instructions on how to ferment beans, so I'd like to link that page or reference that page on each recipe that calls for that, so you guys can just flip to the other page and learn how to ferment beans if you guys don't know. So I'm trying to type up this cookbook so that if you guys want to gift this to a family or a mom that does not know anything about soaking and fermenting and properly preparing grains, that it's going to kind of introduce them to that, and then introduce them to our channel, and that they can come on here and learn a whole bunch of things. And also within the recipe book, obviously all of those recipes are here on the channel. So that's a great thing for visual learners. You can give them the hard copy, and they can come over here and look down through all of my videos and find the recipe they're trying to make. And I'm going to have a step-by-step video right there for them to learn how to cook. So anyway, keep that in mind. Start thinking about Christmas. And I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to, like I said, I'll put out a video either Sunday or Monday with the details on ordering the cookbook. So exciting. And then, of course, Tuesday we're going to be making our chicken pot pie soup with biscuits. I've already created a pre-scheduled event. So if you guys are interested in catching a same class next week, but with a different meal, go ahead and head over to the channel and make sure you click Remind Me underneath that pre-scheduled event. It's over there. There's also inside the description box all of the ingredients for next week's meal. So if you need to go shopping or make sure you have the ingredients for next Tuesday, it's all there, all ready to go for you, okay? So with that, I'm checking the comments here. Jesus Loving Homesteader. Hey, Jesus Loving Homesteader. I don't think I've seen you comment on the channel before, so welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for watching my videos. And thank you, Diana. I know you're on here again. Thank you so much for jumping on. And who else was on? Jackie's probably on, but she's probably being quiet. Let's see, Samantha was on, aka Donnie. So thank you so much for commenting. Thanks for joining me for dinner. And if you guys live closer, I invite you over to eat it. It's delicious. But I'll see you guys next week, and take care, okay?